Queenslanders, when I stood on a stage like this less than 3 years ago, Queenslanders were demanding real change. Change from a Labor government that had taken voters for granted, raised taxes, increased debt and seen a blowout in crime. Change from a Labor Party that was all about short-term political fixes who preferred words instead of action. Queenslanders were demanding a long-term plan of real action to secure a brighter future for Queensland. Now, while much has changed in the world since then, with falling demand for resources, less revenue from Canberra and greater risks to our security, it is Queensland and Queenslanders that have proven to be the most resilient. We've been resilient because we've had the stability, the strength, and a team in government that has worked hard and stuck to a plan that's working. Today, I want to talk about what we will do next. What we will do to keep ensuring that Queensland remains the best place for Queenslanders and their children to live, work and to raise a family, both now and well into the future. And the good news is that future can be very bright, but only if we make the right choices, only if we stay on track to secure that bright future. I'm proud of the hard work our LNP team has done for Queenslanders over the past 2.5 years. I'm prouder still of the hard work Queenslanders have been doing to keep the future strong. Together, our strong economic management of the hard work of Queenslanders has delivered real progress in health and education, more jobs and a stronger economy, better roads, a stronger regional Queensland and less crime. And like you, we're working hard every day, especially to do what we can do to reduce the cost of living for Queensland families. In health, our elective surgery waiting times are now the best in the country. Our emergency... And we have the Minister that's achieved that. Our emergency departments, yes, give him a round of applause. Our emergency departments are seeing more people in a shorter time. And Queenslanders are getting there faster, with 488 new ambulances on the road. We're returning maternity services to local hospitals in regional areas. And our hard-working nurses and doctors are actually getting paid on time. In fact, soon our nurses will be getting paid, on average, 12% more than at the change of government. And on top of all that, I'm very proud to say that from February, we will deliver Australia's first on-time surgery guarantee. So all Queenslanders will get their surgery when they need it. This is a very significant achievement considering the state of the health system just 3 short years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, in education, our Great Results Guarantee is making sure kids are getting the literacy and numeracy skills they need to secure a great job and have a great future. We've delivered more than 1,700 additional teachers and teacher aides. Plus, we're delivering 11 new schools right across this state. We've given principals and school communities a greater say in how their school is run, and we're seeing the results as kids do notably better in their reading and writing. We're also fixing up the maintenance backlog in our schools, making our classrooms safer and more comfortable for students and their teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, we're creating more jobs in a stronger economy. Since our government was elected, 1,100 new jobs have been created each month. This has not happened by accident, because unlike Labor, we don't just talk about jobs and hope they'll come. We know that the only way to create jobs is to have a strong plan, a strong team, and create a stronger economy. Now, I recently released the LNP Government Jobs of Tomorrow plan, a plan that will ensure the next generation of Queensland workers, our kids and grandchildren, have access to apprenticeships and high-quality training to kickstart their careers. This is all part of our strong plan over the next 6 years to create more than 209,000 additional jobs in Queensland. Ladies and gentlemen, we are making Queensland's transport system better. There are more trains on time than ever before. We introduced free travel after 9 weekly journeys on the go-kart. There are more than 3,000 new weekly bus and train services. And for the first time in Queensland's history, we've actually cut public transport fares, but I'll talk a bit more about that later on. We're also improving the roads with around 4,000 kilometres of road constructed last year. In this election campaign, we've already announced much-needed road upgrades. Projects like the duplication of the Boundary Road overpass at Narangba. This project will double the number of cars that can pass through this busy area near Costco and the growing suburb of North Lakes. Projects like the upgrade of the Gateway and Pacific Motorway Junction bottleneck. Projects like the Inland Highway, providing an alternative to the Bruce Highway west of the Great Divide, and an upgrade of the Sumners Road interchange at Mount Omni so more local people can get through quicker to spend more time with family. These are all projects that are only possible because of our Strong Choices plan. They are all projects that are about getting you home faster so you can spend more time with your family. I also recently announced the $1 billion Rail Infrastructure Fund, which again is only possible under the LNP government's Strong Choices plan. This fund will revolutionise rail travel right across southeast Queensland by making it easier, faster and safer for commuters to travel to work, to school and to home. The first project announced duplicates the rail line between Beerburrum and Landsborough, saving about an hour in travel time on a return trip. And ladies and gentlemen, importantly, it will create more than 3,000 jobs in construction alone. A strong economic plan is the only way we can create jobs for Queensland. Ladies and gentlemen, I now want to talk about our regions. We support regional Queensland. We have stood beside our farmers as they face drought. We're the only state that continues the level of support provided through subsidies and other assistance for our farmers. We reformed Labor's native vegetation laws, and we've commenced vital reforms to the land tenure system to help farmers who want to have more security and more confidence to go forward and increase production and create jobs. But ladies and gentlemen, the job is not done. I've already mentioned the Inland Highway that we announced last week. I also announced that we'll extend our successful royalties for the region's fund. And I was really excited to announce our support for a new major urban renewal project in Townsville that will include a new sports stadium. But it's a whole lot more than that. This is a plan to create a whole new residential and recreational precinct that will take industry out of the city and bring new life to this central part of Townsville, new opportunities for business and education, and again, most importantly, jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to stand by our farmers and strongly support regional Queensland. ladies and gentlemen, Queensland is a safer place than it was, a safer place today than it was 2.5 years ago. Official statistics show that reported crime is down 12% since 2012. Why is that? It's not happening elsewhere in Australia. It's because of these things. It's because we put well over 800 additional police on the beat. We've backed them with better laws and better technology. We brought in tougher sentencing. We're making Queensland's nightlife safer. We're making our nightlife safer, and we've refused to allow criminal gangs to rule our streets. Let's look at what's happened because of our strong action on crime. Since Labor's last full year in power, crimes that affect Queensland families have dropped significantly. The rate of reported car theft is down 14%. That's more than 900 cars that weren't stolen. The rate of reported break-ins is down 27%. That's 9,600 families and businesses that haven't suffered the agony of such a crime. And the rate of reported robbery is down 28%. That's 400 less. Make no mistake, make absolutely no mistake, today Queensland is a safer place to live, to run a business, and most importantly, to raise a family. Again, I stress to you that while a lot has been achieved, I'm saying very clearly today that the job is not done. But together we will get there if we stay on track. Our team will keep working hard to deliver our strong, long-term economic plan. We will keep growing a four-pillar economy focused on agriculture, construction, resources and tourism to deliver more jobs and better services. And now that we've set the right financial foundations, we're able to truly afford better schools and hospitals. I'll say that again, truly afford better schools and hospitals, improve roads and more police. And we're also able to make real cost of living savings possible for families. Since coming to office, we've been working very hard to provide real financial relief for those families, for everyone's family. We've reduced the cost of buying a family home by $7,000 through stamp duty concessions. We've frozen family car registration for 3 years in a row. We've provided a one-off $80 water rebate in South East Queensland, and we've provided more than 67,000 vouchers worth up to $150 to help families pay for their kids to join sporting clubs and play sport. As I mentioned earlier, we've also delivered a Queensland-wide 5% cut in public transport fares, the first time in Queensland's history that fares have been reduced. And we've now been able to put a freeze on these lower fares this year on top of our free travel after 9 weekly journeys initiative using a go-card. So the savings continue. And today I say to Queenslanders, we're not stopping there. We've also set up a $3.4 billion cost of living relief fund under our Strong Choices plan to reduce electricity bills right across this state. This is a real saving to the hip pocket of all Queenslanders. Over the next 5 years, the average household will save $577. I repeat, $577 off their power bills. But as I've travelled around the state listening to Queenslanders, they've told me that more needs to be done. People need more relief. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to announce that South East Queenslanders, who've been the ones most affected by rising water bills, will benefit through long-term, cheaper water prices. A re-elected LNP government will significantly reduce water bills for nearly 1 million South East Queensland families. Through dealing with the massive debt racked up by Labor in our water authorities, we will be able to provide this significant cost of living saving. These South East Queensland families can expect to see water bills go down by as much as $52 next year and another $47 the year after. This means a typical Brisbane family will save nearly $100 on their water bills over 2 years. If you combine this with the relief we're providing on electricity bills, these families will have saved $316 in just 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, this is real cost of living relief for families. These cost of living savings are only possible with our Strong Choices plan. We're the only team that can provide reduced water and power bills for families. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also pleased to announce today cost of living savings for younger Queenslanders. We believe that young Queenslanders who do the right thing on our roads should be rewarded. The Young Driver Incentive Scheme that I'm announcing today will reward P-platers who haven't received any demerit points with a 3-year licence for free. That's a saving. That's good policy, and that's a saving of over $118 for our young drivers. Ladies and gentlemen, I know jobs in a strong economy is a real priority for Queenslanders. Indeed, it's the priority. Queenslanders know, however, that you cannot create jobs without a strong economy. You cannot create a strong economy without a strong plan. And you cannot stick to a strong plan without strong and stable government. During this election, I've announced our policy to give 26,000 young Queenslanders an apprenticeship, cadetship or free training to help them get a great job. I'm pleased to announce today something that really excites me, something that will give a great boost to our economy and create quality jobs. Over the next 3 years, a re-elected LNP government will inject $90 million into the research and entrepreneurship sector. We will also invest a further $500 million from Strong Choices as a long-term plan to create well-paid, rewarding jobs for Queenslanders. These funds will boost innovation and business and keep our brightest minds here in Queensland. Three years ago under Labor, Queensland was funding research with no clear roadmap for how it would translate into real benefits for everyday Queenslanders. There was a smart slogan, and that was it. Our brightest minds were losing confidence and looking for jobs overseas. Our long-term plan will bring back our brightest minds to this state. We'll provide grants for practical collaboration to provide real solutions to the problems faced by Queenslanders and the world. It's an exciting step towards realising the bright future that Queenslanders want and they deserve. To keep our best and brightest minds here in Queensland, we need to provide opportunities and mentoring. That's why today I'm also announcing a quality teacher attraction plan. Ladies and gentlemen, we will attract the best and brightest into the teaching profession, and we will do everything we can to keep them once they are there. We'll provide opportunities for teachers to gain further tertiary qualifications. While we're boosting the quality of teachers, we also want to boost the quality of schools. That's why I'm pleased to announce today we will deliver more schools and hundreds of new classrooms. The $1 billion Strong Choices Future Schools Fund will enable the construction of up to 22 new schools across Queensland. The fund will also be used to build or upgrade hundreds of classrooms at existing schools right across this state. Ladies and gentlemen, this government has achieved a lot, and I've outlined today some of the new things that we would do if re-elected. Again, I stress that the job isn't done. We need to keep a strong team with a strong plan in uncertain times. If we go off track now, the progress we're starting to see will be at risk, and the risk to Queensland's future is clear and present. We all know that a hung parliament ruled by minor parties in Canberra has proved an economic disaster for Australia. And the chaos in the Senate is a real roadblock to the reforms and leadership we need right now. The last thing Queensland needs is its own hung parliament, because it too will hang our future. It was revealed this week that the minor parties have done a deal to swap your preference votes. The very same preference trick that gave us all those problems in the Senate is the plan here between the Palmer Party, the Katter Party, the Greens political party and independents. Polls confirm that a hung parliament here is a very real possibility. Palmer, Katter and the Greens political party have done a deal to try and deliver a Labor government that will be at the mercy of their every whim, and that is a recipe for chaos. A weak, beholden government in a hung parliament would stall the economy, cost jobs and mean real uncertainty for families. A hung parliament is a hung Queensland. A hung parliament is what happens when you number every square for the minor parties and for Labor. If you number every square, you are voting for a hung parliament. So we're saying to Queenslanders, if you want certainty, not chaos, then just vote one for our strong team with a strong economic plan for families instead. Only by voting one for the LNP in local electorates right across this state can you ensure we stay on course for a brighter future and a stronger Queensland. The LNP is the only team that can deliver stable government. We're the only team with a strong plan to grow our four-pillar economy. We are the only team that can deliver more jobs and provide better services for all Queenslanders. Together, with your support, with a strong team and a strong plan, let's deliver a stronger Queensland.